Chapter 31. Young Group, Ling Jiu's mother. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Ling Jiu was furious, extremely furious. He knew that this world was chaotic with ravaging dire beasts and rising special abilities. The unequal distribution of power and resources were making this world much more dangerous, more chaotic, and darker than the past life. There were countless unfair incidents, and the laws could only control the ordinary people. Unfairness and injustice were happening every day. However, when all these happened to him, Ling Jiu still could not help but feel angry. "How are you?" Bald-headed Mr. Zhang was not so friendly when he looked at Ling Jiu. His men, all burly, stopped what they were doing and stared at Ling Jiu. F***CKU. Ling Jiu roared, striking a punch formed by osmium at Mr. Zhang's chest. Amid the sound of crackling, Mr. Zhang spurted a mouthful of blood before his body crashed into the wall with a loud bang and dropped to the floor. Mr. Zhang felt his bones had fallen apart. "What are you all waiting for, you trash? Kill him," he shouted in agony. "Mr. Zhang, he is an arcanist." Those burly men realized that Ling Jiu was an arcanist when they saw a punch, sending Mr. Zhang flying away. It was an arcanist, not someone they could deal with. An arcanist. Mr. Zhang's heart skipped a beat. He looked at Ling Jiu with a hint of fear in his eyes. "Who are you? What do you want? Don't do anything stupid." "What do I want? Take a wild guess." As Ling Jiu grabbed in the air, the osmium formed into a giant hand, lifting Mr. Zhang into the air. Mr. Zhang tried to fight back, kicking his legs frantically, but that did not affect the osmium hand even a bit. He could only watch as he was brought in front of Ling Jiu. "How dare you hit my dad, you abbreviated piece of nothing." Ling Jiu raised his hand and slapped Mr. Zhang in the face, causing the corner of his mouth to tear open. "Today, I am going to make you pay dearly for your stupid actions. You are Ling Tianxi's son." Mr. Zhang's body shuddered. He suddenly became more daring. "I see. It is you, rascal. How dare you show me your attitude? You must have a death wish." Knowing who Ling Jiu was, Mr. Zhang was not as scared as before. There was no need to be afraid of a newly awakened arcanist. Not that he had not dealt with arcanists before. Besides, he knew well about Ling Jiu's background. Toothless and penniless with no connection of influence. Ling Jiu had just got lucky to awaken his special ability. So there was nothing to worry about a family like that. Death wish. Ling Jiu slapped him again. Piak. As the slap broke a few teeth of his, Mr. Zhang covered his swollen face with his hand. "How dare you hit me? I will make you pay." Piak. "I pay you all for nothing, you all trash. He is just a rookie arcanist, so why are you so scared of him? Kill him." Those burly men bit the bullet and lunged out at Ling Jiu. They would have flinched when facing other powerful arcanists. But the arcanist in front of them was just a rookie, and there was a strength in numbers. However, as quick as they were, a dozen osmium fists formed and hit them with a series of thuds, sending the dozen burly men flying out backward. How could this be possible? Mr. Zhang was shocked. He could not believe that Ling Jiu had easily beaten his men, who were all professionally trained fighters. Was Ling Jiu really a rookie arcanist? Piak. While Mr. Zhang was still in shock, Ling Jiu had come down with his slaps again. He was determined to avenge his father. After a continuous series of slapping, Mr. Zhang's face swelled so terribly that he looked like a pig head, half of his teeth falling off. Stop hitting me, please." Mr. Zhang was afraid now and quickly begged Ling Jiu. "It wasn't me but Mr. Yang who wanted to screw your dad. It has got nothing to do with me." "Mr. Yang." Ling Jiu stopped. "Yes, Mr. Yang. It was Mr. Yang. Mr. Zhang pulled a pathetic face. He asked me to abduct your father here so he could kill you. It's true. It has got nothing to do with. Which Mr. Yang are you talking about? Ling Jiu asked coldly. Without waiting for Mr. Zhang's reply, Ling Tianxi suddenly spoke. I knew that it was him. I knew that. He must be the one behind the collapse of the company. I have been right all along. Ling Tianxi looked aside, his face swollen and covered in blood. But there was no anger or fear in his eyes, just anguish and at a loss. Who is that B****, Dad? Ling Jiu frowned. Did you just say that the collapse of the company has something to do with Mr. Yang? Don't ask. It has got nothing to do with you. Ling Tianxi let out a sigh. Dad. Ling Jiu was not too happy. That B** has caused you so much suffering and hired someone to screw you. I couldn't stomach this without revenge. Stop asking. Ling Tianxi's tone of voice turned stern. This is adult business. You don't interfere. Leave me for a while. I have something to talk to Mr. Zhang. Ling Jiu was indignant, but he did not want to defy his dad. He spun around and left the office. He would find it out since his dad was not telling him. Mr. Zhang, tell Mr. Yang that I will repay every cent I owe him. But please don't harass my son. Ling Tianxi came up to Mr. Zhang. Otherwise, he will regret it big time. I will convey your message for sure. I will. Ling Jiu and Ling Tianxi left Haitian Debt Collection Agency. The father and son spoke not a word until they arrived at their neighborhood. Don't tell Xiao Tong about what has happened today. Ling Tianxi instructed. I know. Ling Jiu nodded lightly. Mr. Yang whom Zhang Haitian talked about must be Mr. Yang of Yang Group, I guess. Ling Tianxi was startled for a second, then shook his head. Just don't ask. This is an adult's business. A kid shouldn't interfere. Yang Group of Lantian Base City is a branch of Chang'an Base City's Yang Group, the president of which is Yang Su, isn't it? Ling Jiu said as if he had not heard what his dad said. Yang Su. Ling Tianxi was struck dumb. If I remember correctly, Dad, my mom is also called Yang Su. Am I right? Don't tell me that mother of convenience, whom I have never met, is the president of Yang Group, Ling Jiu said half-jokingly. What the heck are you talking about? Ling Tianxi suddenly went hysterical. How many times have I told you that your mom has long been dead? She has nothing to do with that woman in Yang Group. Don't you insult your mom with that woman. Ling Jiu was startled. I was just saying. Is it necessary to get so worked up? Don't be a smart aleck and don't interfere in grown-up matters. Follow me home. Chapter 32. Level 3 Arcana, Special Contribution. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Ling Jiu came from a single-parent family, raised by his father. With little to no memories of his mother, Ling Jiu only knew that his mother had left him when he was small. Everyone else but him had a mother. Ling Jiu had frequently asked his father why, but the usual response he got was his father's anger. Every time when he mentioned his mother, his father would become a different person, hysterical. As time went by, Ling Jiu dared not ask anymore. But he knew that his mother's name was Yang Su, and she had gone to Chang'an Base City. Chang'an Base City, the Yang family. Yang Su, the president of Yang Group. Ling Jiu mumbled to himself. Judging by Dad's reaction, most likely this president of Yang Group is my mother of convenience. The thing is, why did this mother of convenience leave Dad back then? Divorce. Cheating. Abandoning her husband and son. Or was it because of the family's adjuration? By the looks of Dad's reaction, the possibility of abandoning her husband and son is the highest. I can't believe that this mother of convenience is such a person. No wonder Dad was working so hard to make money, probably wanting to prove something. Forget it. I will practice cultivation. So long as I am powerful enough, the questions will be solved automatically. The Feast of Tao Tai came to life, and the gene arcana within 100 yards radius converged and rushed into Ling Jiu's body. The gene arcana inside him was getting more vigorous. Crack. A sound like the ripping of silk rose within Ling Jiu as the gene arcana inside him was unimpeded. It suddenly flew smoother. Boom. At the same time, a powerful air emanated from Ling Jiu's body, sweeping around the entire room, making the air sticky in the tables and chairs creak continuously. Fu. Lin Jiu could not hold back his excitement. This intermediate-level gene arcana secret technique is awesome. I have actually become a level 3 arcanist in a short time. Yes. Ling Jiu had achieved a breakthrough into the level 3 realm, becoming a level 3 arcanist. When his arcana awakened in 2 months, he became a qualified level 1 arcanist. When his arcana awakened in 6 months, he became a qualified level 2 arcanist. 2 months. 4 months. It was a long time. But after attaining the intermediate-level gene arcana secret technique, the Feast of Tao Tai, it just took him slightly over 10 days to achieve level 3. His accretion of strength for the past half-year had helped, but the Feast of Tao Tai played the most significant role. Level 1 and Level 2 arcanists are lower-level arcanists. Level 3 and Level 4 arcanists are intermediate-level arcanists. Level 3 arcanists. Gene Arcana is pretty solid with a high level of control and shockingly high damage ability of 30 meters. I am finally no longer a rookie. The next early morning, Ling Jiu came to the office to see Luo Jia, the manager. You are back. Luo Jia did not look surprised at all at seeing Ling Jiu. She had heard news about and been surprised by what Ling Jiu had hunted in the wild yesterday. Yeah, I am back. Ling Jiu nodded in acknowledgement. Could you help me take a look at something, Miss Luo? He got down to business at once. What is that? Luo Jia raised an eyebrow. As Ling Jiu took out the ice hollow weed, a terrifying chill mixed with a hint of refreshing scent spread in the air. This is. Luo Jia's pupils contracted. The ice hollow weed, she blurted out. You have sharp eyes, Miss Luo. Ling Jiu let out a smile. I can't believe that it is really the ice hollow weed. Luo Jia took the thing and studied it carefully. After a long while, she reluctantly handed the ice hollow weed back to Ling Jiu. I can't believe that you have got this thing. I have got lucky to stumble upon it. If I were to sell this ice hollow weed to the company, how much would the company offer, Miss Luo? Ling Jiu asked frankly with a smile. He had thought of giving the ice hollow weed to his younger sister but changed his mind yesterday. His younger sister was in her first year in high school. Since she still had 2 years to go before year 3, she was not in a hurry to awaken her arcana. Ling Jiu was thinking of selling the ice hollow weed, in exchange for something he needed to enhance his strength. An increase in strength meant making more money. With more money, he could buy other awakened arcana stuff on the Pangu Mall. The ice hollow weed's market price is $5 billion, which is the price that the company will pay for. But this thing is a rare treasure of heaven and earth. If you auction it off, you could make over $1 billion. Luo Jia suddenly changed her tone. But if you sell it to the company, you will not only make the money but also get certain contribution points, which aren't measurable in money terms. Contribution points. Ling Jiu got hooked. The company's mall has many things such as advanced gene arcana secret techniques that money can't buy. You know that, right? I know. Ling Jiu nodded. Money can't buy the advanced gene arcana secret technique and many other treasures of heaven and earth. Only those who have made special contributions to the company would get that. Special contribution, those are the contribution points I've been talking about. Luo Jia continued, in fact, not only the advanced gene arcana secret technique and treasures of heaven and earth but also many other special items that only contribution points can buy. I see. The penny dropped on Lingjiu. These special items will earn you contribution points. Luo Jia continued. Just like this ice hollow wheat of yours. If you sell it to the company, you will get 50 contribution points on top of the $5 billion. A ratio of 1 to 100 million. Ling Jiu was quietly shocked, this ratio was way too low. But considering that the contribution points were extra from the company, it was barely acceptable. What can 50 contribution points buy, Miss Luo? Ling Jiu asked. See for yourself. Luo Jia took out her mobile phone and tapped on it, then put it in front of Ling Jiu. The screen showed a search window with a search filter stating items of less than 50 contribution points, and various strange items listed below it. Generally, there were two types of items. A treasure of heaven and earth, and a potion. Cold Star Vine. An intermediate level treasure of heaven and earth. It helps increase absorption of the gene arcana by 2 times the speed. Price. 20 contribution points. Dragon Blood Potion. Intermediate level potion. It strengthens stamina. A bottle of Dragon Blood Potion increases bodily strength by several folds but subject to individual conditions. Price. 50 contribution points. Scorchburst Tinder. An intermediate level treasure of heaven and earth. It is a naturally nurtured special flame, the temperature of which could reach 4,000 degrees and melt most of Earth's materials. Price. 50 contribution points. Ordinary Arcana Potion. Intermediate level potion. It awakens the arcana of ordinary people. Not to be used by arcanists. Price. 20 contribution points. Thunder Fruit. After reading for a while, Ling Jiu had got ants in his pants. These things were good stuff. He wanted them all if possible. See. You will get the best deal by selling things like the ice hollow weed to the company because what you will get is worth more than $5 billion. Deal. I will sell it. Chapter 33. This is a serious crime, Rock Giant. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. An ice hollow weed could not only sell for $5 billion but also get 50 contribution points worth $5 billion. That meant the ice hollow weed was worth $10 billion. So why not sell it? After Luo Jia fiddled around for a while, Pangu Mall had an additional transaction. On November 25, 2051, Ling Jiu sold an ice hollow weed. Ling Jiu checked his personal account and found that $5 billion had really come into his account. The 50 contribution points were deposited in his personal center on the company's official website. Ling Jiu could use the 50 contribution points to buy special items anytime he wanted. Thank you, Ling Jiu. Luo Jia suddenly broke into a smile just when Ling Jiu was overjoyed looking at his savings. Thank me. Ling Jiu was dumbfounded. I bought the ice hollow weed that you just sold for 50 contribution points. That means it is mine now. You bought it, Miss Luo. Ling Jiu was a bit surprised, but with a smile on his face. As long as you like it, Miss Luo. After all, I have sold it to the company. It makes sense. But I still have to thank you. Probably you don't know how important this ice hollow weed is to me. Luo Jia was thrilled. I am a fire-type arcanist. Because of my single arcana ability, my combat strength just passes muster among my peers. But with this ice hollow weed, I would gain the ice-type arcana to boost my combat strength tremendously. Congratulations, Miss Luo. Ling Jiu said with a smile. I owe you one, Ling Jiu. I will never say no to you if you come to me and need my help in the future. Luo Jia was forthright. A thought suddenly came to Ling Jiao's mind. I didn't want to bother you, Miss Ling. But something has been bothering me lately. I am all ears. Luo Jia raised an eyebrow. This is the story. Ling Jiao told of what happened last night, and Luo Jia spoke. This is no small matter if you ask me. It depends on what you want to do. You mean? If you want to teach those people a lesson, do it in private. I can introduce a few friends to you and accompany you to Yang Group. By then, you can do whatever you want. Luo Jia looked at him knowingly. If you want to teach them an unforgettable lesson, you can take a legal recourse. Taking your dad for no reason and making a personal attack is an act of abduction. Abducting the family members of our arcanists is a serious crime. A serious crime. Ling Jiao was struck dumb. We, the arcanists, have contributed much in fighting the dire beasts for humanity. To let the arcanist hunt the dire beasts without having to worry about their families, the governments around the world have introduced laws prohibiting illegal, cruel treatment of arcanists' families. Illegally harming the families of the arcanists is a serious crime. Anyone caught doing that could be sentenced to 10 years in jail. Luo Jia said sternly. Zhang Haitian is just a nobody. I have taught him a lesson. Ling Jiao said. The culprit is Yang, who hasn't got her dues. This really pisses me off, so you want to take legal recourse. Let us do it this way. I will ask the company's legal and investigation department to collect evidence in Haitian Debt Collection Agency. Luo Jia let out a faint smile. Even Yang will have to face legal consequences as long as we have found evidence. Miss Luo, I heard that this Yang came from the Yang family of Chang'an Base City. Ling Jiao said. So what if she is from the Yang family? Luo Jia still had that faint smile on her face. Anyone, even if it is the head of the Yang family, who persecutes the arcanists' families will have to take responsibility for their action. Speaking of that, Luo Jia looked knowingly at Ling Jiao. Pangu doesn't become the top arcana company for nothing. So long as you work hard and hold a certain power here, many people will play by your book. Ling Jiao got the message and nodded slowly. Understood, Ms. Luo. Keep it up, Ling Jiao. Luo Jia gave him a word of encouragement. If I am not mistaken, you are now a level .3 arcanist, right? Awesome. Remember this. The more powerful you are, the more you will own. Strength is above everything in this world. Other things are secondary. Like yesterday's incident, the best outcome for an ordinary arcanist is to get compensated in monetary terms and case closed. But for me, I will make the culprit pay a high price. Thank you, Miss Luo. I understand. Go now. An ice hollow weed could have so many uses. It really lives up to its reputation as the treasure of heaven and earth. Ling Jiao lamented as he left Luo Jia's office, knowing deep down that if not for the ice hollow weed, Luo Jia would probably not help him. There were many arcanists in Pangu, and he was a nobody here. He knew he did not have any influence to make Pangu mobilize its resources to take action against the general manager of another company. What Luo Jia said is right. Power comes only with strength, and only power could only protect families. Ling Jiao was thinking of this as he came to the company's data center. He needed to consider how he could turn his money into strength. There are 2 things in my bucket list. The advanced Gene Arcana secret technique and the ultimate cold weapon Sands of Annihilation. It is a shame that these 2 things cost $10 billion. No way I could afford them. So I could only get the second best. I already possess the intermediate Gene Arcana secret technique and advanced cold weapons. What I lack now is the Arcana manual. This thing is only $1 billion. I can totally afford it. Ling Jiao tapped open the Ultimate Earth.Type Arcana Manuals menu. Meteorite Fall. Individual.type attack ability, using Earth.type Arcana to create a meteorite-like rock shot to launch an attack so it will create a meteorite impact-like effect, the damage ability of which is 20 times that of the ordinary rock shot. Desert Burial. The ultimate Earth.type Arcana manual, Group.type attack ability. Half an hour later, Ling Jiu decided. Rock Giant. Formed by rocks, rock giants have not only supermuscular strength but also impressive defense ability. They could attack in a group or individually, complete with attack and defense capabilities. Their overall strength is 20 times that of the ordinary Earth.type Arcana. I will take this. Ling Jiu chose the rock giant, tapping the by icon, submitting his order by entering his address and telephone number, then confirming his payment to complete the transaction. It will be delivered by this afternoon. Awesome. Ling Jiu continued to browse the mall. Gene Arcana, checked. Arcana Manual, checked. Arcana Weapons, checked. Advanced Dimensional Pocket, checked. It seems like I lack nothing now. Wait a second. I still lack transport. Ling Jiu might have only ventured outside once, but he was deeply aware of the importance of transport. Fengming County was only slightly over 60 miles away from Lontian Base City. But it took him 2 days to go there, and for a return trip, it was a 4 days journey. It just wasted too much time. He had only stayed in Fengming County for 7 days, yet the journey took 4 days, which meant he was on the road half of the time. That was too slow. What kind of transport should I get? Maglev motorcycle or Maglev car? The cheapest Maglev motorcycle cost $15 million and the cheapest Maglev car cost $80 million. $80 million is a little too expensive. With the money, strength, and position that I have right now, a motorcycle is just right. Driving an expensive one will only attract thieves and robbers in the wilderness, which is something I cannot afford to happen. Ling Jiu tapped the Maglev motorcycle selection, and a vast collection of Maglev motorcycles, the prices of which started from as low as $10 million up to $80 million, appeared in front of his eyes. There were hundreds of models for his selection. Ling Jiu filtered his choices, limiting the prices to between $15 million and $20 million, leaving only a dozen models for his selection. Face. All carbon fiber frame, max output. 800 kW, weight. 269 pounds, max speed. 373 miles per hour, power source. Solar, charging time. 1 hour, max range. LB12. Chapter 34. The Flying Ride, An Egoistic Dad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. At last, Ling Jiu chose a Maglev motorcycle with a $20 million price tag. This ride had a max power output of 600 kW, a weight of 242 pounds, and a maximum speed of 310 miles per hour. It had a pretty high performance price ratio. It was worth noting that solar energy was the primary energy source of this world. Not that the world had other choices. As the wilderness had reclaimed the hydroelectric dams, wind farms, oil wells, and other energy sources, the world lost its power source. What was left was only solar energy. 30 years of research and development had pushed solar energy technology to an advanced level of development. Solar power was widely used by various industries. Just like this Cheetah Model 3 Maglev motorcycle that Ling Jiu had bought, it ran on solar power. It could recharge its battery while running during the day, and it took just an hour to recharge when it was stationary. It could fly over 620 miles in just a single charge. This excellent mileage stemmed from the fact that it was flying in the air. It also showed the excellent range of solar-powered batteries. After placing the order, Ling Jiu finally bought the $20 million Maglev motorcycle for $14 million. By then, it was noon. Ling Jiao and Li Kai left the company and filled their faces at a restaurant before they parted. In the afternoon on the same day, the Arcana manuals and maglev motorcycle that Ling Jiao ordered had arrived. After taking the delivery, Ling Jiao could not wait to check them out. First, it was the maglev motorcycle, the cool front end of which looked like a running cheetah with a high-tech vibe. There were no wheels under the platform but just a layer of super-elastic rubber materials. This rubber material had excellent elasticity. It protected the motorcycle from damage when the motorcycle hit the ground abruptly. Shrouded inside the rubber layer was a super-conductive magnet, which was the power source of the motorcycle. It interacted with the Earth's magnetic field, using the principle of the magnet where the same poles repel each other to make the motorcycle fly. It was love at first sight for Ling Jiao. He used to be a car enthusiast in his past life. But monetary constraint limited his choices, he could only afford a cheap model to quench his interest. Little did he expect that he could afford to own the legendary maglev motorcycle in this life. How could he not be excited? Try it out. As Ling Jiao hopped onto the motorcycle, a pleasant voice came from the dashboard. Hello, my honorable master, welcome to Pangu Cheetah Model 3 maglev motorcycle. I am your safety assistant. How would you like to call me? This motorcycle had an AI, artificial intelligence, system, just like the smart home system in his mansion. Xiaojiu. Thank you for the name, master. Xiaojiu, the AI, continued. My honorable master, please allow Xiaojiu to introduce the functions of the AI system. The system is divided into 5 major modules. AI Driving System, AI Navigation System, AI Safety System, AI Self-Diagnostic System, and AI Remote Vehicle Control System. AI Driving System. AI Navigation System. Ling Jiao was very pleased with the personalized AI system of the motorcycle that could drive itself, navigate itself, self-diagnose, take care of its safety, and remote control itself, just like the fiery motorcycle in the SCI.FI movie Ghost Rider. Following that, he went into the settings, such as setting his biometric thumbprint, facial recognition, voice, and language settings. And he went on for a test drive. Left hand for altitude control. Right hand for speed control. Left foot for braking. Right foot for reversing. Having gotten a rough understanding of how to handle the motorcycle, Ling Jiao applied a slight force with his left hand and the motorcycle lifted off with a low hum. He twisted the left hand to keep the motorcycle rising until 20 meters from the ground, higher than the mansion before it stopped rising. Then, Ling Jiao twisted the right handlebar, and the motorcycle sped off at warp speed at once. The flight was steady without a trace of bumpiness, which was something unmatched by land-bound vehicles. Brake. Make a turn. Speed up. Ling Jiao excitedly drove his new ride for the remaining day. Unlike the vehicles he had driven in his past life, riding a maglev motorcycle was an entirely new experience. The thrill of flying was indescribably fun. After all, he was flying for real. Fun. Absolutely fun. Wu. Before Ling Jiao's excitement could last long, the security personnel in the neighborhood came up to him. Driving a vehicle is not allowed in the neighborhood, sir. Please stop immediately. Driving is not allowed. Fine. There was nothing Ling Jiao could do about it. So he went home indignantly, then parked his ride in the redundant garage, which obviously had found its purpose from now on. Once arriving home, Ling Jiao found that his dad had been and was still busy with something since this morning. Looking at his dad, whose back was facing him, Ling Jiao went over after a moment of hesitation. Hey, Dad. What's up, son? Ling Tianxi looked back. The wound on his face had not fully healed yet, his eyes bloodshot from staring at the computer screen for too long since this morning. I have made some money after going to the wilderness last time, Ling Tianxi interrupted him before Ling Jiao could finish. It doesn't matter how much you have made. Those are your hard-earned money. Keep it for yourself. Ling Jiu forced a smile. This father of convenience had got a big ego. Could you please listen to what I have to say? It is not much, just about $5 billion. I have used $1 billion and left with $4 billion. How much? Five billions. Ling Tianxi's heart skipped a beat, his eyes wide open. After being in business for over 10 years, he set up his own small company and the most money he had in his life had never exceeded $100 million. Yet Ling Jiu had made $5 billion by just making a trip to the wilderness. You have got to be kidding me. You heard it right. It is $5 billion. Ling Jiu repeated himself. I have everything I have wanted. The Gene Arcana secret techniques, Arcana manual, dimensional pocket, weapons, and transport. I don't need that money for now. You can use it if you want to. How can I? Ling Tianxi declined without even thinking. But Ling Jiu was adamant. Don't reject this so quickly. I know you haven't given up and want to give it one more shot. You can take the money and treat it as a loan or my investment. Son. Ling Tianxi's eyes reddened. At last, he still declined Ling Jiu's generosity. As he said, no matter how much Ling Jiu had made, Ling Jiu got it with his sweat and blood. As a father, he was not as shameless as wanting to take his son's hard-earned money. Don't worry, son. I have contacted a few friends. They all are interested in investing in me. As long as I work harder, I am confident of making it. All right, I will leave you to it. If you face any problem later, my offer still stands. You are my father, my money is your money. You are my good son. After the conversation with his dad, Ling Jiu returned to his room to study the Rock Giant Manual. He wanted to master this ultimate arcana manual as quickly as he could, elevating his combat strength and returning to the wilderness. He loved going to the wilderness where he could hunt the dire beasts and enjoy the thrill of making big money. There was only one word to describe these feelings. Fun. Chapter 35. Adrenaline Rush, Rampage Black Bear. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The General Manager's Office, Yang Group. That was what happened, Mr. Yang. Bald-head Mr. Zhang stood in front of a handsome young man in a suit, bowing his head respectfully, his eyes filled with a sense of reverence. The handsome young man knocked on the table and laughed suddenly. Surprise, surprise. That abandoned B***start of yesteryear have become somebody. Is the sun starting to rise from the west? Mr. Zhang stood there respectfully, not daring to say anything. Leave me now. The handsome young man suddenly waved his hand. How about the debt, Mr. Yang? Leave it for now. You don't have to worry about the rest. I will handle it myself. Yes, Mr. Yang. Bald-headed Mr. Zhang turned and was about to leave. Right then, the handsome young man took out a pistol and pulled the trigger. Bang! Mr. Zhang froze before dropping to the floor drenched in his blood. As the handsome young man pressed a button on the table, 2 bodyguards came in at once. Mr. Yang. Clean it up. Yes, Mr. Yang. After the 2 bodyguards dragged Mr. Zhang's body away, the handsome young man's face suddenly turned hideous. I don't need trash like you, who couldn't even handle a minor matter like this. Not to mention I have to tie up the loose ends for you. While speaking, the handsome young man made a call. Hua Hua. Help me kill someone. Name. The target is a level 2 arcanist and an employee of Pangu. I can kill him, but the price is $100 million. Deal. In the following days, Ling Jiu did not go to the wilderness but stay home to cultivate his strength. He studied the rock giant in the morning, practiced how to control his arcana in the afternoon, and absorbed the gene arcana at night. He led a routine life every day, seizing every opportunity to practice. His gene arcana started to develop, his control of arcana matured, and his strength increased. 3 days had passed since then. Ling Jiu decided to go out this evening to buy some good quality dire beast meat and some other ingredients. Coming back, he and his dad cooked together. When his younger sister came home from school, the food was served on the table, and the family of 3 sat together having their dinner. "Are you going to the wilderness again, brother?" Seeing the sumptuous meal on the table, his younger sister had guessed it, her expression collapsing. "Yeah. I have been cultivating for quite some time at home. My strength has increased, and I have to train my combat strength in the wilderness." Ling Jiu took a mouthful of veggies before explaining with a smile. His younger sister pouted. "Could you please not go? Isn't our life comfortable now? Why do you have to go risking your life in the wilderness?" Ling Tianxi also looked at his son with worries in his eyes. He had not forgotten the incident at Haitian Debt Collection Agency and was afraid that Mr. Yang would come after his son. "I can't." Ling Jiu shook his head. "My goal is to become the #1 fighter on Earth. How could I be complacent?" "Don't worry, Dad. You know what I am capable of. I will live." The next day, Ling Jiu rode his beloved ride to send his younger sister to school, and then he left. "Ling Xiaotong, your elder brother is so cool. That is a maglev motorcycle. The cheaper maglev motorcycles cost at least $10 million in the market. Your brother is damn rich. Xiaotong, does your brother have a girlfriend?" Ling Jiu rode his maglev motorcycle, activated the stealth mode, and flew in the air. The wind howled past him. He did not have to worry about traffic rules, bends, or someone running into his path suddenly. He could speed up as much as he wanted. These feelings of adrenaline rush and unrestraint were so fun, thousands of times more thrilled than the street racing in his past life. As free as a bird and unrestrained as a fish. This is the worst and also the best era. I want to stand on the crest of a wave, becoming the master of this era. Flying at warp speed on the maglev motorcycle, Ling Jiu had left Lantian Base City toward the northwest. "Xiaojiu, activate the auto-navigation system. Destination: Taibai Mountain." "Yes, master." Half an hour later, Taibai Mountain was within view. Ling Jiu quietly alighted and tucked away the maglev motorcycle. Taibai Mountain, even the entire Qin Mountains, were roaming with dire beasts. Had he gone forward in such a conspicuous manner, it would attract the unwanted attention of the powerful dire beasts. The last thing he wanted was to be surrounded by a group of dire beasts. So he figured that he had better go on foot. "Let's start here." Ling Jiu had changed into a more comfortable sports suit. Setting his eyes in a direction, he departed toward Taibai Mountain with the dire beast radar activated. Below Taibai Mountain was an endless plain. There were sporadic villages on the plain, but these places had become the dire beasts' lairs. 113 Class 1 dire beasts. 20.9 Class 2 dire beasts. 4 Class 3 dire beasts. Kill these 4 Class 4 dire beasts first, then only continue to Taibai Mountain. Half an hour later, Ling Jiu found the first Class 3 dire beast. It was an ant the size of an ox, body red and covered in bright red scales. Its teeth looked like scissors glinting in a cold light, and it stood on 6 long legs. It is a Class 3 dire beast, terror ant. This terror ant did not have a body size advantage compared to other Class 3 dire beasts. But Ling Jiu did not want to underestimate this beast. Ants were famous for their strength, especially an ant of this size definitely had an incredible level of strength. Why was this ant called terror ant? Because it ranked top in terms of strength among all the ant species. It was definitely the most outstanding among the Class 3 dire beasts. Shadow form. Ling Jiu faded into a shadow and quietly approached the terror ant, which was eating the corpse of an ox-type dire beast. Its scissor-like teeth were so sharp that they could easily cut its prey into shredded meat before freezing. The terror ant did not notice that Ling Jiao was approaching as it continued to feast. Very good. Ling Jiao left the state of shadow form and smacked the ground. Earthen spikes. Sharp rock jutted out from the ground suddenly and pierced into the belly of the terror ant. The earthen spikes attacked so quickly and sharply that blood spurted out of the terror ant's belly to the tearing sound of its skin. The terror ant shrieked, stomping its feet on the ground as it tried to bounce up. Right then, a giant hand formed by soil appeared. Bang! The giant hand came down at once, swallowing the terror ant, which became motionless. This might have involved some trickery, but at least I killed the terror ant. Ling Jiao came in front of the terror ant looking at the dead dire beast. He was pleased with his performance. After becoming a level 3 arcanist, my control of the earth-type arcana is definitely more skillful and smoother. Killing a class 3 dire beast could not have been easier. Ling Jiao kept the corpse of the terror ant and moved on to the next lair of a class 3 dire beast, which was an evolved black bear. Standing at over 5 meters with a bloated layer of fat beneath the thick black hair, the black bear had a pair of half-meter long fangs growing out of its mouth, its paws as large as a dustpan. It was vicious, muscular, and violent. It is a class 3 dire beast. Rampage black bear. Judging by the name, Ling Jiao knew that this thing was a violent-type meaty tank. Indeed. The rampage black bear was not only physically strong but also superb in defense and speed. Its abilities were well-rounded with almost no weaknesses. It was a nasty class 3 dire beast. Seeing this rampage black bear, Ling Jiao became excited. Just nice to test out my rock giant. Chapter 36. Super Corn, Internecine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Boom. Within a 30-yard radius, rocks and soil went up into the air before powerful energy gathered the materials toward Ling Jiao. His legs and belly. His hands and chest. At last, it was his head. Ling Jiao turned into a 10-meter tall giant made of rocks in the blink of an eye. Boom! The rock giant stepped out, running toward the rampage black bear not far away. The ground shook violently as he ran as if the earth were wailing. Roar! The rampage black bear was alarmed. It stood on two and pounded its chest with loud thuds while roaring angrily at the rock giant. Come on. Let's square it off. Ling Jiao raised his palm and smashed at the rampage black bear. At 10-meter tall, the rock giant was double in height and crushingly more imposing compared to the 5-meter rampage black bear. The rampage black bear dodged the attack, then smashed its paw at the rock giant's right leg. The rampage black bear was much quicker than the clumsy rock giant. Boom! Rocks and dust flew into the air as the rock giant staggered in its feet. Before the rampage black bear could feel pleased with its achievement, the rock giant had come down with another blow. The rampage black bear quickly dodged, but not entirely, as the rock giant's hand smashed its hips. The hips of the rampage black bear crumpled at once at the sound of the cracking of bones. Roar! The rampage black bear let out a howl of agony as blood and feces oozed out of its lower body. The rock giant had crushed its vertebrae, femur, and innominate bone. One more time. The rock giant raised its hand and struck down. The rampage black bear disappeared under the palm, all its bones were crushed, blood and minced meat flowing out of orifices. It could not have been more dead than this. Rocks were dropping, and soil was flying. Ling Jiao returned to his human form. Seeing the rampage black bear that had been smashed into a pile of meat, he poked out his tongue with astonishment. The rock giant was so powerful. This was a class 3 dire beast here. It was crushed to its death just like that. Ling Jiao suddenly saw the ultimate arcana manual under a different light. At 20 times the strength of the ordinary arcana, this ability was no joke. So I can challenge the class 4 dire beasts now. Should give it a try if the opportunity arises. Ling Jiao kept the corpse of the rampage black bear, then followed the direction shown by the dire beast radar toward the lair of the third class 3 dire beast. 10 minutes later, he came to a village. The village was in ruin, with vegetation almost completely reclaiming the streets and buildings. A vast piece of the cornfield was to the east of the village. The corn here had obviously evolved. Growing at 7 to 8 meters in height, the corn formed a vast area of corn forest. The kernels of the corns on each leafy stalk were big and juicy. Ling Jiao looked on in amazement. This purely wild evolved corn will probably sell a high price. All vegetables and grains of this world came from the organic farm. It had high production capacity, and the produce looked fresher and better, but they tasted nothing like the crop growing in the ground in his past life. Ling Jiao opened the micro PC and started to identify these evolved corns. Super corn. After undergoing an evolution, this plant from the Poaceae has a straight stalk and no branches. It grows as tall as 6 to 10 meters. The internodes at the base have aerial roots. Its leaves have veins and are flat, wide, and linear. Lanceolate. Super corn is a highly valuable food, containing a high level of nutrients, which are 5.10 times that of rice and wheat, and rich riboflavin. It is beneficial to the human body. Price: $100 per 500 grams. So expensive. Ling Jiao exclaimed quietly. Before his time travel, the corn price was $1 per 500 grams. This super sweet corn was 100 times more expensive. Unbelievable. It must taste very good judging by its price. Ling Jiao searched around. He chose the more good-looking corns, as he intended to bring it back for his dad and younger sister. He had no intention of harvesting all the corn. As expensive as this crop was, it did not worth more than the class 3 dire beast at the same weight. Since there was limited space in the dimensional bag, he could not take whatever he saw. The third class 3 dire beast is right in the cornfields east, not far away from here. Ling Jiao followed the direction and moved ahead. As he was getting close, the breath of dire beasts was too hard to ignore. Just then, a sinkhole suddenly formed under his feet. With nothing supporting his weight, Ling Jiao plunged at once. In that split second, he performed a shadow form arcana. The next second, he turned into a shadow. When he finally landed slowly on the ground, he found himself inside a deep hole. The hole was full of sharp and thin spikes. If not for his shadow form arcana, he would have ended up dead like a porcupine. Damn it! Who dug this trap? Just when Ling Jiao was fit to be tied, he heard noises outside the pit and 2 people appeared. One was a stubble-faced, middle-aged man, carrying a long saber on his back. The other had a pointy mouth, ape-like chin, a skinny, shifty-eyed, middle-aged man. Finally, something has walked into it after so long. Damn it, I almost ran out of patience. The 2 were excited. When they came to the pit and looked down, they found nothing. The stubbled man was stunned. Why is the prey? The skinny man guffawed. Fret not. How could there be no prey when the trap has been triggered? It must be hiding somewhere. Hiding. The stubbled man breathed a sigh of relief. Where is the prey, bro Lu? The skinny man did not answer but just looked down at the bottom of the pit with a smirk. Don't pretend in front of me, kid. I know you are down there. There was no answer from the pit. Still pretend, eh? The skinny man smirked again. Since you are not coming out, then forever don't come out. Brother Wang, fill the pit back. You got it, The stubbled man had no hesitation as earth from both sides of the pit rose and was about to pour into and bury the pit. Hold on a second. Ling Jiu called out, coming out of his state of shadow form as he appeared at the bottom of the pit. There really is someone down there. The stubbled middle-aged man's eyes brightened up. At least you are smart enough. The skinny, middle-aged man sneered. If you don't want to die, throw your dimensional bag up here, kid. We will rescue you out of here. Otherwise, you have got to stay at the bottom of the pit forever. Who are you guys? Why ambushed me? Ling Jiu shouted. We kill the dire beasts. And we will not show mercy to a lost arcanist like you. The skinny, middle-aged man looked at Ling Jiu as if he was an idiot. As you know, killing an arcanist is so much more rewarding than hunting the dire beasts. Cut the cackle. Hand over your dimensional bag, the stubbled man shouted. I see. Ling Jiu had figured it out. When he browsed the forum earlier, there were many posts warning of the danger in the wilderness, that one had to watch out for human arcanists more than the dire beasts. Humans were much smarter, greedier, and more cunning and dangerous than the dire beasts. Why did hunters in the wilderness have such a high fatality rate? Some of them were killed by the dire beasts, and some of them were killed by their own kind. Obviously, these two people were those arcanists who engaged in the monkey business here. As level 3 arcanists, why do you two have to resort to such a dirty tactic? If so, I will not have any more hesitation. Dragon Almighty. Kill. Chapter 37. 6 times of the gravity force, teleportation. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. At first, Ling Jiu was thinking of sounding them out. If the two dug the pit just for hunting dire beasts, they would not kill him since he had only fallen into it accidentally. But now, Ling Jiu had disappeared from the pit. Where is he? Where has he gone? It shocked the stubbled man and the skinny man. The next moment, they felt the ground under their feet trembling. Following immediately, earthen spikes jutted out, piercing at them like lightning. Not good. He is an Earth-type arcanist. The skinny man's expression changed. Quick, Brother Wang. Get the hell out of my sight. The stubbled man hissed as he stomped his foot on the ground. The earth stopped trembling and the earthen spikes disappeared instantly. He was an Earth-type arcanist, too. Thanks, Brother Wang. The skinny man said. But before he could breathe a sigh of relief, the sky suddenly turned dark. He looked up at once and saw a giant hand smashing down at him. Brother Wang, help me, boom. The giant hand came down quickly and smacked the stubbled man before he could react to it. Amid the sound of the cracking of bones, the two died an instant death. Ling Jiu reappeared. With the snap of a finger, the osmium giant hand turned into a quicksand, rose and surrounded him. The stubbled and the skinny men lay dead on the ground, all bones crushed, bodies nearly smashed into meat pies by the osmium giant hand. Trash. You two were just looking for trouble, trying to kill me with such a level of strength. Ling Jiu spat, then found a stick to rummage through their bodies. It did not take long before he found 2-dimensional bags. Heck. Even if these 2-dimensional bags are empty, I will still gain. Ling Jiu took out a tissue paper and wiped the blood from the dimensional bags. After taking a glance, he broke out in a smile. These were intermediate-class dimensional bags with 1,000 cubic yards of storage space. Each of them was filled with the corpses of various dire beasts. Besides, there were many other things, too. How many people these two guys have robbed? Ling Jiu lamented. He tucked away the dimensional bags. Those contents could wait. His priority was the Class 3 dire beast. 2 days later, Ling Jiu climbed to the top of the Taibai mountain, which was the destination of his trip. That was right. His target was none other than the void falcons that he had hunted before. These dire beasts could fly at high speed and traverse the void, extremely difficult to catch. But he just could not resist them, they were valuable. The corpse of a void falcon worth $150 million. This would be the most valuable Class 3 dire beast Ling Jiao had ever hunted. Combining the use of the gravity arcana and teleportation, I may stand a chance to hunt the void falcons. It is worth $150 million. How could I not give it a shot? Yup. Another arcana of Ling Jiao was teleportation, which was a dimension-type arcana. This special ability allowed Ling Jiao to appear in another place in the blink of an eye. It was the third arcanum that Ling Jiao cloned. That meant, until now, Ling Jiao already possessed 4 arcana, namely shadow form, earth manipulation, gravity, and teleportation. He came to the spot where he last hunted the void falcons, put the bait in place, then quietly concealed himself. What he was doing right now was the same as last time. The only difference was, he had to hunt on his own this time. The chilly gale was howling past the mountain, making the temperature plummet to its lowest point at the peak. Ling Jiao was hiding in the snow, lying in wait patiently. Half an hour had passed and there was still no trace of any void falcon. Damn it! There is not a soul here, and it is freezing cold here. Ling Jiao shivered. I will have to take a break if there is no void falcon in half an hour. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. And 20 minutes had passed. Just when Ling Jiao was running out of patience, shrills were heard coming from the air. Ling Jiao's heart missed a beat as he looked up and saw a void falcon appear in the sky. It had obviously spotted the bait on the peak and was now circling in the air, unwilling to leave. The competition in nature was fierce. Animals risked their lives to hunt for food. They were rarely choosy when it came to food, and would not give up easily. So when this void falcon spotted the bait on the peak, it of course did not want to pass it up. Come down. Come down, baby. As if Ling Jiao's prayer was answered, the void falcon finally descended after circling in the air for a while. It folded its wings and landed in front of the bait, then tore the corpse of the dire beast with its sharp beak. It was obvious that the bird was hungry. This is the time. Ling Jiao would not want to miss this opportunity. He willed in his mind and a gravity force 6 times the normal force engulfed an area of 20 yards in radius. Yes. It was 6 times of gravity force. After becoming a level 3 arcanist, Ling Jiao could control as high as 6 times the gravity force, which was a lot more terrifying than before. The void falcon staggered on its feet. It wanted to spread its wings to balance itself. The next moment, a shadow appeared. It was none other than Ling Jiao. He held a sharp alloy dagger in his hand and stabbed it into the eye of the void falcon at lightning speed. As he pulled out the dagger, the blade was covered in blood. The dagger had pierced through the eye with blood splattering everywhere. The void falcon shrieked in pain and flapped its wings violently. Agitated by the sharp pain, it wanted to fly away from this place. It could escape death as long as it could fly. But in an environment where the gravity was 6 times higher, flapping the wings was hard enough. Let alone getting away. Squish. Squish. After being stabbed a few times, the void falcon stopped struggling, becoming motionless, quiet, and dead. Wu.hu, $150 million. Ling Jiao clenched his fists in excitement. This was easy. This was pleasurable. This was how money was made. How he wished he could play a disco song to vent his excitement. But he knew that this was not the time. This was just the beginning. The real challenge had yet to come. He needed to hunt more void falcons. Ling Jiao tucked away the body of the void falcon, covered the blood, then went into hiding again. He had a good start. Next, he wanted to keep the momentum going. Half an hour. 1 hour. A second void falcon came as expected. 6 times of gravity force. Teleportation. Squish. He killed the second Void Falcon. $300 million. One more time. The night fell without him knowing. After working hard for a day, Ling Jiao came out to the peak to take in some fresh air, then went underground again. With no intention of leaving the mountain tonight, he dug a hole in the ground and spent the night there. Tomorrow would be another Void Falcon hunting day. He had brought a waterproof cushion and a sleeping bag, good enough for him to spend a night here. I have hunted 4 Void Falcons today. Not half had it all. Together with the 2 intermediate class dimensional bags earlier, I am making a gain of $1 billion. BDNV 1 billion. What a coincidence. Chapter 38. Class 4 Dire Beast, unsolicited guests. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The next morning, while Ling Jiao was immersed in cultivation, loud shrills alerted him. He looked up and instantly saw 6 dire beasts fighting in the air. 5 were the Void Falcons, which Ling Jiao had been familiar with. The other one had a wingspan of 10 meters and a black body. Its steel needle-like feathers stood erect, its pointed beak and sharp claws glinting under the sun. It is a class 4 dire beast, Black Quill Eagle. Ling Jiao watched with bated breath. Do all dire beasts come out to hunt at this time of the day? I had been waiting for half a day yesterday and there were only 4 Void Falcons. Now all 5 comes at once. There is a Black Quill Eagle, too. There was a furious fight. 5 Void Falcons against 1 Black Quill Eagle. Taking advantage of their speeds, the Void Falcons moved swiftly like phantoms. In one moment they were here and the next they were gone. The Black Quill Eagle was almost pinned down with no opportunity to fight back. But when looked carefully, he found that those Void Falcons could not even pierce through the thick black feather of the Black Quill Eagle, let alone hurting it. Its black feather was too tough to beat. This bird really lives up the reputation as a class 4 dire beast. Except for its movement that is slower than the Void Falcons, it was far more superior in every other way. Those Void Falcons would be in deep shit if struck by its claw. Probably the attack had angered the Black Quill Eagle. It suddenly shrilled. The burst of a powerful sound wave created ripples in the air. The sound wave hit those Void Falcons as if a bat had hit them, their movements froze with blood oozing out of their ears. Seizing this opportunity, the Black Quill Eagle appeared in front of a Void Falcon. It struck with its claws, tearing the Void Falcon in half. As blood splattered and feathers fell, that Void Falcon plunged to the peak. This is brutal. Ling Jiao watched on and was left speechless. That shrill a while ago had caused a ringing in his ears. He felt as if his head was going to explode. Was this the mightiness of class 4 dire beasts? What happened to that Void Falcon shocked the remaining 4. They shrilled, fleeing with tails tucked between their legs before disappearing into the horizon. The Black Quill Eagle let out a victorious shrill before landing beside the corpse of the Void Falcon to enjoy its fruit of victory. After watching the fight from the beginning till the end, Ling Jiao could not help but curse in his mind. Those birds fought to the death for the bait. Now that the winner had emerged, but no one bothered about my bait anymore. Great. Clothes, but no cigar. Damn it. Ling Jiao cussed in his mind. It was all the fault of this Black Quill Eagle. It is the stirrer. If not for this bird, I would have hunted 1 Void Falcon, at least. Damn it. There goes my $150 million. How about teaching it a lesson? Ling Jiao faded into a shadow and approached the Black Quill Eagle one step at a time from behind to avoid being detected. He was silent. Dead silent. At last, he came behind the Black Quill Eagle. The feathers of this Black Quill Eagle are overly tough. The dagger won't do the job. This is it, I going for it. Meanwhile, the black quill eagle was having a feast. A terrifying pressure that was as heavy as a mountain suddenly came down on the black quill eagle. Its feathers puffed as the black quill eagle flapped its wings, wanting to lift off. But the 6-time gravity force was no joke. Despite its robust muscles and power wings, it found it nearly impossible to lift its body, which was now 6 times higher than its usual weight, into the air. It felt its wings heavy, and it was staggering. This is the time. Ling Jiao seized this opportunity at once. Pouring out 50 cubic yards of osmium soil to form a giant hand, he caught the black quill eagle and squeezed. Sand-binding coffin. Crack. A series of bone-cracking sounds came with blood seeping out from the osmium-soil giant hand. The black quill eagle's struggle gradually subsided. Ling Jiao withdrew the osmium soil and released the black quill eagle. The bird had been crushed into a pie, its bones broken and blood spurting out of its orifices. But it was still not dead yet. It tried to move its now mushy wings, trying to fly away. This thing is tough. With the wave of his hand, Ling Jiao turned the osmium soil into a rock, with which he smashed the black quill eagle's head. This time, the black quill eagle could not have been more dead. Phew! Ling Jiao breathed a sigh of relief. During the brief battle with the black quill eagle, he had gone all out, exhausting his gene arcana, feeling as if his body had been hollowed out. Battling a Class 4 dire beast was no joke. I need a break. Ling Jiao exhaled a few times, got to his feet, and tucked away the corpse of the black quill eagle. The next moment he knew, a high-pitched sound came as quick as lightning from the air. His heart missed a beat, and he quickly bounced a step back. Thuck! A sharp alloy bolt pierced through the air and hit the spot where he stood a split second earlier. The tail of the bolt exposed in the air was still vibrating and buzzing from the powerful kinetic momentum. It was not difficult to imagine how much energy the bolt had carried. B*****. Ling Jiao broke out in a cold sweat. Lucky for him that his reaction was quick enough. Otherwise, this bolt would not have hit the ground but him. How dare you! Ling Jiao was furious as he saw a maglev MPV was hovering in the distance, and standing on the roof was a figure, aiming a bow made of alloy at him. A maglev MPV. Ling Jiao squinted at the maglev MPV, which was a type of maglev vehicle, the prices of which varied. But even the cheapest model started from $80 million. The maglev MPV in front of his eyes was definitely the most expensive model because this was a Safewell Alpha Twin Engine Prestige Edition, which was sold for $1.3 billion on Pangu Mall. Who the hell is he? Ling Jiao quietly raised his guard. Right then, the maglev MPV flew toward him slowly before coming to a complete stop not far away. As the door of the maglev MPV opened, 6 burly men in black emerged from within. The last person who came out was a woman. She was tall, blonde-haired, but with an exquisite oriental face. Standing at 5'9" on a pair of straight long legs, this woman had an hourglass figure and was sexy, rivaling even the top models. The face of an angel and the figure of a devil, probably this applied most aptly to this woman in front of him. Is this the peak of Taibai Mountain? The woman took off her sunglasses and scanned the white snowy mountain. Beside her, a middle-aged woman took a down jacket out of the vehicle and put it on the first woman. Yes, it is, my lady, the middle-aged woman replied. So the snow dragon Bile shown in the photo is here. The tall woman waved her hand. Let me take a look at the photo. Yes, my lady. Chapter 39. The Killers Become the Killed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Yang Yushan took the micro PC. While looking at the photo on the screen, she glanced at the surroundings. Before long, a smile spread across her face. We have found the snow dragon Bile. Let's get over there. After Yang Yushan said so, she walked back to the maglev MPV. The middle-aged woman shot a glance at Ling Jiao, who was not far away, and nodded at a bodyguard in black. That bodyguard got the message and went toward Ling Jiao. What do you want? Ling Jiao quietly raised his guard when he saw the bodyguard in black walking toward him. The bodyguard approached and started to attack Ling Jiao. His right hand moved as quick as lightning, grabbing at Ling Jiao's throat. The grab came so quickly with so much force that Ling Jiao's throat would be snapped if caught. How dare you! Ling Jiao disappeared from the spot as a murderous intent rose within him. The bodyguard in black missed and was surprised. The next moment, his expression changed as he felt a powerful wind come from behind him. Before he could dodge, he was hit hard on his back. Puke! The bodyguard in black spurted a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying backward. Before he even hit the ground, Ling Jiao had come to the spot where he was about to land and performed a flying kick. Crack! The kick hit the bodyguard's chin with a loud and crisp cracking sound. His chin was broken, and he could not help but cry in pain. Blood was oozing out of his mouth. What the hell? The bodyguard's cry had alerted Yang Yushan, the middle-aged woman, and the remaining 5 bodyguards, who were about to board the vehicle. They all looked back. What is going on? Seeing that bodyguard lie on the ground with blood oozing out of his mouth uncontrollably, the middle-aged woman quickly explained in a whisper as Yang Yushan furrowed her brow. Clean it up. Yang Yushan instructed the middle-aged woman after hearing what she said. She got into the maglev MPV without sparing a glance at Ling Jiao. 5 of you, kill him. The middle-aged woman said, pointing at Ling Jiao. Understood. The 5 bodyguards nodded their acknowledgement, then lunged toward Ling Jiao. How dare you hurt our man? You must have a death wish. A bodyguard hissed with a throwing knife in his hand. As he twisted his wrist slightly, the throwing knife shot out in a flash toward Ling Jiao's throat. The throwing knife pierced through the air at lightning speed with a series of high-pitched swooshing sounds. No ordinary arcanists could dodge this move. Yet Ling Jiao was no ordinary arcanist. Before the throwing knife came near, he magically disappeared from the spot and reappeared behind this second bodyguard. A dragon-like punch suddenly struck. Bam! This bodyguard puked a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying out. Not good. This guy isn't any ordinary arcanist. Let us go up at once. It shocked the other 4 bodyguards to see what had happened. They attacked at once. One of them spurted fire like a dragon from his mouth at Ling Jiao. Another one glared at Ling Jiao with a pair of crimson lasers shooting out of his eyes. Yet, another one waved his arm, releasing as many as 100 wasps from his sleeve. These wasps looked hideous, their hair standing on end as they swarmed toward their target. The last person smacked his hands on the ground, sending the earth trembling as if there was an earthquake. The 4 bodyguards were arcanists of fire, laser eyes, wasp, control, and earth manipulation. Judging by their combat strengths, they were at least level 2 arcanists. Had I been an ordinary arcanist, I would have probably died, been killed by your all to silence me on the peak of Taibai Mountain today. But Ling Jiao disappeared again with a hiss. Boom! Fire dragon and laser eyes hit the snow, blasting a massive pit in the ground with snow within a few yard radius instantly vaporizing. Where is he? The 4 bodyguards' expressions changed. They stood in a circle and started to look for signs of Ling Jiao. Their tacit understanding of each other showed they were professionally trained. As arcanists, instead of protecting humans and hunting the dire beasts, you willingly become the stooges. You all are the scum of the arcanists. Shame on you all. Ling Jiao's voice rang through the mountain peak. I am going to kill you all today. 6 times of gravity force. Boom. 6 times of gravity force came down on the 4 bodyguards, who were unsurprisingly being pinned to the ground. No exception. The next moment, the massive hole suddenly appeared in the ground, swallowing the 4 bodyguards. The ground closed up afterward. Blood spurted out of the ground as if some children were having a peeing competition. Trash. Ling Jiao looked over at the last bodyguard standing on the roof of the maglev MPV, who was still holding a bow and loading a bolt. But Ling Jiao was too quick, he did not manage to shoot in time. All he could do was to watch Ling Jiao kill all his 5 mates. Right now, this bodyguard was as frightened as he was surprised. He felt a chill run up his spine as if a prehistoric monster was eyeing him. It is your turn now. Ling Jiao stepped out, and when he reappeared, he was already on the roof of the maglev MPV, gripping at the bodyguard's right hand that held the bolt. Was it you who tried to shoot me with a bolt just now? Very well. Sir, this bodyguard's body and voice shivered. Please, spare my life. Spare your life. Who had spared my life? While speaking, Ling Jiao grabbed the alloy bolt and stabbed it into the bodyguard's temple. The bodyguard fell from the roof down to the snowy mountain below with a thud. This muffled sound sounded as if a hammer had hit the 2 occupants' chests inside the vehicle, their faces pale. At first, they thought that Ling Jiao was just a nobody. They wanted to kill him so no one would leak their conversation. Little did they know that Ling Jiao was a killer. They had just shot themselves in the foot. My lady, what should we do now? The middle-aged woman shivered, feeling the urge of nature's call inside her. Run. Yang Yushan was calmer than the middle-aged woman. She grabbed the control stick and pushed it forward. Broom. The maglev vehicle lifted off before disappearing from the spot in a flash of light. Ling Jiao did not see that coming and was thrown off the vehicle's roof. Trying to flee. Ling Jiao landed on the ground. Looking at the maglev MPV flying away, he vanished from the spot. When it reappeared, he was already 30 yards away. He disappeared again, then reappeared. After performing teleportation twice, he had come inside the maglev MPV cabin. Where are you 2 going? Ling Jiao said faintly. Ah. Seeing Ling Jiao appear beside them like a ghost, the middle-aged woman screamed in fear. She could no longer hold back the urge of nature and wet herself in the pants. Yang Yushan shuddered, and with great difficulty, she turned to look at Ling Jiao in disbelief. For all I know, I have never offended you all before. Why did you want to kill me? Ling Jiao spoke. Am I hateful to you, or is it you all who are wicked, unfeeling of killing people? Chapter 40. Snowdragon Bile, Level 4 Arcana. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Every world never lacked haughty idiots who looked down on the weaker ones. These people committed homicide as if others were ants under their feet. Evidently, Ling Jiao had met them today. He had obviously done nothing. He had obviously never met them before. He had obviously never messed with them. Yet, they somehow wanted to kill him. What were they if not idiots? Had it not been for my strength, I would have died for nothing today. Ling Jiao lamented in his mind. He hated these 2 people in the vehicle. They were the idiots. What are you trying to do? The middle-aged woman shivered, her face pale. We come from the Yang family of Chang'an Base City. This lady here is Yang Yushan, the daughter of Yang's 4th wife. The Yangs would not let you go unpunished if you dare to hurt her. The Yang family. Ling Jiao burst into laughter. What a small world. A guy with the surname Yang messed with me 2 days ago. And now another Yang wanted to kill me. Interesting. Who are you, really? Yang Yushan turned to look at Ling Jiao. What is your relationship with Yang Yuding? Ling Jiao asked back without answering the question. He is my elder brother. Yang Yushan said coldly. I see. No wonder you are a retard. It turns out that you are the younger sister of a retard. Ling Jiu nodded slightly. I am blaming you for what Yang Yuding had done to me. You are going to die today simply because you have wanted to kill me. It has nothing to do with him. Kill me. I dare you. Yang Yushan's expression changed. If you dare to touch me, squish. Before Yang Yushan could finish, a rock punctured her forehead. Her pupils dilated as she looked at Ling Jiu in disbelief. My lady. You killed the lady. The middle-aged woman's face pale. So what if she is from the Yangs? The one I killed is you people, the Yangs. I will not hesitate to kill anyone if the Yangs dare to mess with me again. After speaking, Ling Jiu disappeared from the cabin. The maglev MPV flew forward after losing control before crashing into a mountain with a violent explosion. Are I and the Yangs destined to clash? Or is it the Yangs are the hateful ones? Looking at the firework of the explosion of the maglev MPV, Ling Jiu spat, no matter what, I hate this family. Ling Jiu checked the micro PC he took down from the vehicle. If he had not misheard it, Yang Yushan had mentioned something about the snow dragon bile. What was that? After a long while, Ling Jiu broke out in a smile. The snow dragon bile. An intermediate-level treasure of heaven and earth. Growing on high-altitude terrains like this snowy mountain, it can enhance gene arcana. A rough estimate is that a snow dragon bile could enhance gene arcana by 5 years. 5 years of gene arcana. What difference does it have from the internal strength-enhancing elixirs mentioned in the martial art novels? I need to find it. I must find it. Ling Jiu was excited. If he could find a snow dragon bile, he could very well attain level 4 in his cultivation in the shortest time. He quickly browsed through the photos in the micro PC and compared them with the surrounding environment to start his investigation. Not long after, Ling Jiu had zoomed into the location of the snow dragon bile. Without wasting more time, he quickly headed toward it. Half an hour later, he came to a remote dead ground on the northern slope of the snowy mountain. There, he found a few feces-like black stuff. Are these things the snow dragon biles? Ling Jiu squatted down, carefully examining the black feces, as he compared them with the photos on the monitor screen. They looked like mushrooms, black, their bodies made up of intertwining black silks. At about 1.2 inches in diameter, they looked like umbrellas. There were countless miniature scales on the surfaces, their roots as red as blood, even the rocks where they grew on also the same bloody red. Everything matches perfectly. These are the snow dragon biles. 1, 2, 5. There are 5. 5. Ling Jiu's eyes brightened up. I am rich. I am rich this time. The price of a snow dragon bile is $4 billion. There are 5 here, and that is $20 billion. Pluck them all and get the hell out of here. Ling Jiu checked what he needed to be aware of in harvesting the snow dragon bile. When he harvested them, he dug them out together with the rock where they grew on. After that, he left at once. It was nearing last light when Ling Jiu came to Linyu County 60 miles away. Linyu County was surrounded by mountains, which completely encircled the little county town. Various plants grew in the county town. As this vegetation had formed a unified area with the vegetation in the mountain, it was hard to notice Linyu County from above. It was said that Linyu County was the most secret place in Hua country. The purpose of Ling Jiu's coming to Linyu County was simple. Dire beast hunting. He had just come out for a short while and was in a hurry to go back. As Taibai Mountain and even the area around the Qin Mountains were no longer safe, the secret of Linyu County was the most suitable place. I will put up a night here. Tomorrow, I will continue to hunt the dire beasts. Ling Jiu found a shop hidden under the vegetation and used the osmium soil to seal the surroundings. After making sure that it was safe, he took out the 5 snow dragon biles. A snow dragon bile could enhance gene arcana by 5 years. Let me take one to see how good it is. Thinking of this, he chose the thickest, biggest, and blackest snow dragon bile and swallowed it entirely. 1 minute. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 20 minutes had passed, yet the snow dragon bile had still not produced any effect. Did I just eat a fake snow dragon bile? Just when Ling Jiao was quietly in doubt, warm energy suddenly rose within him. Starting from the abdomen, it spread in all directions. His body started to heat up. The lower abdomen, middle abdomen, upper abdomen. The chest, neck, brain. At last, it was the legs and hands. At the same time, Ling Jiao felt a pure and vast amount of gene arcana appear in his lower abdomen and spread to his limbs. He was shocked and quickly performed a feast of Tao Tai to absorb this pure gene arcanum. Obviously, this was the purest gene arcanum. It rushed into his body and combined with his own gene arcanum until they became one. Ling Jiao had lost track of time. When the process ended and he regained his consciousness, his perception felt unprecedentedly clear, his body was energized, and his legs, hands, and muscles strong, as if there was limitless energy. What excited Ling Jiao most was the shrinking of the gene arcanum to less than 1/10th before. This was not because the gene arcanum had reduced, but because it had liquefied. Liquefied gene arcanum. I am a level 4 arcanist through and through. He could feel his arcana's radiative range had increased. He could manipulate the gravity and earth within 100-yard radius. Liquefied gene arcanum. 100-yard radius of arcanum radiation. I am a level 4 arcanist now. Ling Jiao clenched his fists to feel the unlimited energy and fully charged gene arcanum in his body. He was excited. Level 4 arcanists were the defining line between intermediate level and advanced level arcanists. The stronger the arcana were, the more damaging the power was. A level 4 arcanist could destroy an entire battalion of fully armed army. So it was also known as the 1,000 kills. Yup. The 1,000 kills. With my current level of strength, I am considered a top figure in Lantian Base City already. I suppose the company should promote me to an important post once I return. Ling Jiao mumbled to himself. The Arcana Combine was a commercial enterprise, but it was also an Arcana institution, where strength was always the priority. The higher the strength, the higher the position and authority. This was something no one could dispute. There were few level 4 arcanists in the Pangu Arcana Combine of Lantian Base City. A figure like Luo Jia, the general manager, was only a level 5 arcanist.